Hello friends, once again Shwetank here. So in my last video we talked about why we need to make a product. So I talked about a little bit about a profound statement that figuring out why is really very essential during the product making process. When you're trying to conceive the product idea, it is important that we need to find out the purpose of behind the product. And many a times that actually results in finding out a group of people that you really want to cater to. And who are they? There are some people who would want to work with you along with the journey of designing the product. Perhaps those people would be your partners, your employees. And then there are some of the other people who are your customers that you are going to sell your product. There are other people like your vendors, your suppliers, your distributors, and legal, and other people like finance or government agencies. So these are some of the people that are going to influence the way you're going to design your product. You're going to make your product. When you're constructing your product, you need to identify them, identify the entire ecosystem that you want to influence, that the product is going to interact with. That's an interesting point to start. Many times we don't actually list down them as a formal process, but I feel that that's one of the important process to begin with, because that will give you a clarity of thought whom you want to interact with, who does the product interacts with. So now what next? So we have figured out, you have listed down a set of people that you're going to interact with during the due course of product consumption or product making. Yeah. Then the next step is actually more precise step where you would want to do a little bit of a brainstorming about listing down the requirements. So when we talk about any making process, any construction process, it starts with listing down the requirements. So there are a number of documents or templates available in today's world. So people talk about let's start with a user requirement document. Let's talk about a customer requirement document. Sometimes people talk about market requirement document, and some product managers will say that there's a product requirement document. So essentially, what all those people are telling you is you need to identify the requirements, and these requirements are not just about the product itself, but the tons of things that the product is going to interact with. For example, let's say you're designing a heart rate monitor, or maybe you're designing a smart watch, and perhaps you need to list down that you also require perhaps an FCC ID if you want to sell the product in the American market, or you probably require a BIS certification if you want to sell the product in Indian market. So then you need to understand what that regulatory or compliance requirement is all about. And that's not really directly very directly comes up front when you are starting to design the product, but think about that as well, right? So there may be some of the legal framework that you would want to talk about. So write down all those things step by step. When you have that ready, let's call that as a product requirement document. Maybe you can have sections about them. Maybe you can talk about what are the smallest piece of thing that you want to do while constructing the product, right? So there you go. That's a beginning of making a product. And we are in this journey together. I'll be covering a lot of aspects about what are the various ways to streamline that thought process to start writing this requirement document in my next video. Thank you.